So, reviewing last week's photo, so this is week 6 now, just looking at week 5, there weren't really too many sort of bits of additional information that we looked at. We did try and identify this yellow patch. Well, I think it's a yellow diamond on the shoulder there, but Gibbs and Jeffrey's book by the Military Historical Society, that doesn't identify it at all. And the work by Alan Simcock that he's done for one of our appendices to the Machine Gun Corps History Project doesn't identify it either. I think it's a yellow diamond. It could be two-tone, as we just see on the number 2's shoulder there as well. The only sort of additional information was on this chap, so George Kamak, and it was identified that this is a 1903 pattern web bout, not the brace 1908 pattern brace converted. It seems to be a specifically made item, so that was quite interesting. And also then his cap badge is a motor machine gun service cap badge rather than a machine gun corps cap badge, and so it was pointed out by David Murdoch on the Tank Corps and MGC Facebook group. That's quite interesting, that he never served with the MMGS but had that cap badge all the same. So, and he's in Italy later on. That was it really. Hopefully we'll continue to add information like this, but you enjoy this week's postcards as they come up.
In this postcard, there doesn't seem to be too much to talk about, really. There's no really identifying insignia. It's clearly post-war because of the presence of the medals. And by the looks of it, we've got the 1914 Star, the War Medal and Victory Medal. So, Pip, Squeak and Wilfred in modern parlance, or nicknames. So a little bit post-war. We've got a really stiff-peaked and stiff-brimmed cap there. Hat. Looks like he's in breeches, possibly with puttees though. Nice and tight puttees there. Possibly breeches by the looks of it, but I can't really see any evidence of the knee patches. So maybe they're just tailored. But yeah, so there's nothing much to talk about, sadly. Nice polished buttons, just a nice studio photo, and well presented. And there's nothing that adds to it on the back either. So clearly a UK postcard rather than overseas. We've got nice English language on it. Sometimes it might seem disappointing that there's not much information, but it perhaps just gives us a really good opportunity to look at somebody that would otherwise be forgotten. We don't know who he is, but it's just interesting that we still have a picture of him. This photo is a nice shot of 2 machine gunners. I think this is like the second in a series, because this chap here is on the wrong side of the gun to be acting as the number 2. So I think they've just moved along a bit. So I think he was probably had his photo taken first, then this guy second, but they've just moved to the left. So because the number 2 should really be around here, sat on this side of the gun, they've just passed across the spare parts case, which is there, and done it that way, which is just quite an interesting sort of bit of a photo. It is a Mark 1 spare parts case, and we've pointed this out. You can see it even better here with just that single loop on the side and no reinforcing around the flap. Mark 1 muzzle cone, 2 white bands on the gun to signify that it's a drill purpose gun, 5 rounds in the belt, probably drill purpose rounds, number 3 belt box, otherwise empty belt, no direction dial and no elevating wheel. So quite a good sanitized gun in a way. Single arch top cover, Mark 1 tangent sight and slab sided breech casing. But yeah, it's quite a good sort of standard picture of a drill purposes gun in use. Looks like they've got Machine Gun Corps shoulder titles being worn as well as the cap badges, obviously. Nice bit of sort of detail on the studding of the toes there on the hobs, and you can see the nice crisscross pattern that's in the puttees. Other than that, it's just a nicely framed photo. We don't know, we might have had, this might be another one of the series of photos that we've had taken. There's no negative number on this, but it look certainly the H there for cleaning mud off the boots, the mud boot scraper, and the clean hard standing slab there, all look a little bit familiar in front of this hut. So I wonder if this is a hut that we've seen before. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Sadly, we've got quite a lot of information on this photo, but nothing to identify the individual without a lot of digging. It might be possible. We've got dear wife, that could be David. To me that could be David. But it says love underneath it, so it could also be and avid love. Dear wife and avid love. I don't know. To my dear wife from David with love. Yeah, so sorry. To my dear wife from David with love. So maybe we have got enough here. Maybe I've missed that. And I haven't asked Graham about this one on the database because at first glance I couldn't see anything, but it could say that it's Mrs. D Hoare Hoare, maybe 38 High Street as photo. Is that, I don't know. So please, if you can read that better than me, please make an attempt. But we do have a nice date, April 27th, 1917. So we're able to date the photograph that's in the postcard really nicely, and that coincides with all of what we're seeing on the guns as well. So that slab side, Mark 1 armoured cone, tangent sight, they're not widely spread in use. So it just dates some of those accessories quite nicely. A super machine gun corps cavalry postcard now. Feels like we've seen this studio before, but maybe not. Now you can see the MGCC here, so MGC and then the C underneath the cavalry. But what's really interesting is it looks like the MGC is actually on some sort of shoulder slide. So maybe a coloured cloth shoulder slide there. That would signify potentially the squadron, so it might be something that we can identify later on. Nice bandolier, probably a 9-pocket bandolier, so 5 on the front, 4 on the back. Some additional insignia, overseas service chevrons there, good conduct stripes there, and a wound stripe as well. So given he's not wearing any rank, he's clearly an experienced and good conduct soldier. So yeah, nice to be able to see all of that put together. And then his hat's on this random candlestick or stand or something, and he's got a cigarette in his hand as well. We can see the breeches, we can just see spurs there as being worn, as well as possibly leather leggings. So nice quality studio shot there of a soldier of the machine gun corps cavalry. Despite having all of that information on the front of the photo, we still don't have a name, so we don't know who that is. A machine gun corps cavalry soldier, lovely photo of him, but all we know about it is that this postcard, when it was on the market at some point, cost £4.50. A sad end, actually, in some ways, but at least, again, as I said previously, we can look at its picture and have some sort of connection, even if we don't know who that is. This is an excellent sort of section photo, obviously, or subsection photo. We've got the two guns of the section, and they're both the two officers, sergeant and possibly corporal, sat in the front here, are sat on the transit chests for those two guns. You can just see them there, and the handles at each end. They're actually sat on the transit chests for the guns, and we know when you put the two transit chests on top, they make quite a useful seat. So yeah, that's great to see. The guns themselves, nothing really outstanding about them. Looks to be on a number 6 or a number 7 belt box there, with the 2-part lid and not the normal number 8. And on the other side, it looks like we do have the normal number 8 because you can just see the rib that sits around the top there a little bit more clearly. The guns, look like late production guns. They've both got single arch top covers. Mark 1 armoured cone stove. We are seeing Mark 2s at this point in the war, or just after the war, because this is in Germany. So these are obviously Army of Occupation troops. And a quick Google search has found a Schaffenburg is in Bavaria. And I thought this might be Bradera, Baradeder, which could be a name of Pletzower, but actually it looks like Brouwer Brewery. So the British Army found a brewery in a Schaffenburg. What a surprise. Possibly on Franz Ludwig Weg. I couldn't find Franz Ludwig Weg on Google Maps. It may be that it's one that's had its name changed as a in subsequent years. None of the men are wearing their equipment of any sort. None even have belts. The officers have their Sam Brown belts on. They're very smartly turned out officers. Yeah, we can see the collar badges perfectly there. And this one looks to be wearing a single medal ribbon, so likely a gallantry medal. We can't really see what it is, so that doesn't help. But he does look to have quite an impressive cane there, a walking stick, quite knobbly around that. Then we've got so he's got shoulder rank and is a lieutenant, and we've got single cuff rank on the second lieutenant. Cuff rank, I think, somebody might correct me, but cuff rank this late on, late 1918 or 1919 is quite rare. So that's just my take on it. It could be completely wrong. Somebody correct me, please. Sergeant with 2 wound stripes there. Have we got any other insignia, medals, or anything else? Not that I can see on any of the individuals at the back there. So yeah, great photo. Not really much to talk about in it, but yes, super all the same. You can certainly see they look. One thing that I will take away from this is all of these men look incredibly young. Very few. Perhaps this one looks a bit older here. Other than that, they look very, very young. The NCOs look. The sergeant looks a bit older. The corporal, it may be a corporal, does. It looks like they've got lanyards from the pockets there as well. But other than that, I would say, yeah, they look incredibly young. Just standing out there at the end of the war, that we've got these young men in uniform. So nothing much, there's nothing on the back of this postcard other than the guess that I made that Machine Gun Corps in Germany are Army of Occupation. Not difficult. Somebody's added that on later. No other information available. This is really interesting. So this is khaki drill uniform. He's obviously in a hot sandy place. Just one thing that stands out. This here is a thumbprint, possibly done onto the negative in the development process. That's somebody. Look at these swirls. That's somebody's fingerprint or thumbprint there. Just jumps out as I start to zoom in. Completely took me off my stride. But yeah, so khaki drill uniform with brass buttons, a corporal, collar badges, but then with a field service cap. So the side cap with the Machine Gun Corps cap badge slid down onto the flap there. So that's really unusual. Certainly first one I've seen. So something that we'll perhaps cover in more detail somewhere else. Different headwear and headdress. Certainly, uniforms and insignia are going to be covered in the Machine Gun Corps history that we're preparing. And this is just one to remember to make sure that we cover it in there. Other than that, no leggings, no puttees, just straight onto his boots, as we'd expect really. This is a light cotton uniform rather than the woolen uniform. So yeah, a nice portrait, probably in front of the camp or buildings and a little bit further away there. And the notes from whoever's had this postcard before, I don't think this is Graham's writing, but yeah, just note that field service cap is unusual, Middle East theatre somewhere, khaki drill uniform, and Machine Gun Corps. A bit of French language on there, but nothing much, nothing to tell us where actually this has been taken, sadly. This is a nice photo. Clearly, the photographer doesn't really care about the guns in the photo because they've cut the end of this one off. But yeah, they've got all the people in, which is what was important. They have got the 4 guns in there, so this is a whole section, and it looks to be the C section. So we've got C on the ammunition belt boxes there. I think this is 217 Company. 217 Company, and this is their transport shed. And it looks like, maybe it's not, because that says 217 Company, and then we've got RFA underneath here. So maybe that doesn't apply to this company. But 217 Company would be a machine gun company, so it could be them. We have let's say 4 guns, and we spotted the C Company on the belt boxes there. I'll do the really geeky bit. It looks like this is a number 6 belt box here. This number 6 belt box as well. So these are the ones that have the lid that hinges back in the middle and then on the side. They're really thin lids, so you can tell them they stand out because of that. We've got a again, number 6, and that looks to be a number 6, and you can see how the lid is hinged open the other way. They've left it unfolded there and then just opened the front whole thing. So yeah, interesting to see actually that like that. The guns from right to left, let's go with Mark 1 direction dial, strap for the auxiliary tripod to be carried there, Mark 1 tangent sight slide, and single slab-sided breech casing and single arch top cover. Ammunition belts are full because that's what we see them empty in the UK, and then we start to see them full in photos in the in France. Normal gloves being worn, so we do know machine gunner gloves exist, but these guys are wearing their normal woolen gloves. This gun's exactly the same. Mark 1 armored, Mark 1 muzzle cone on the front, not armored. Everything else is the same. Great shot of the Mark III rangefinder there. It's the bar and Stroud on the short number 1 and number 2 rangefinder tripod. Then we've got exactly the same on this gun. Nothing. It's quite not not uncommon to see these guns all the same, but they look to be all the same sort of data manufacturer. And then on this gun here we have the hose, the condenser hose, and this looks to be the uncorrugated version, so just it's a really sort of fine not mesh but a steel weave on it rather than the what we'd call shower hose now. This one also has the elevating wheel on the Mark 1 elevating wheel on the back as well. It looks to be something hanging down off of the muzzle attachment there. I'm not really sure what that is, or off of the not off the muzzle attachment, but off of the chain. It might be on the gentleman behind. It's not something I can see on any of the others, but or it could just be. Actually, it could be the we've got the muzzle cone, the condenser tubing and the steam bag there as well. I think what that is, and I've spoken about it before, that is the boss protector for when the cone isn't on. But I think it's moving in a slight wind, so that it looks to be like this figure of 8 piece. And obviously with the exposure on the camera, it's a little bit longer. Because if you look there, it looks really wide, but the chain looks like it's split as well. It's going down. So I think that's moving in the wind as the photo's taken. So let's just look. Oh, and he's got mittens on rather than full gloves. So I think it's cold, and I think it might be slightly windy. The men themselves, we've got a few in the 1914 pattern equipment. We've got so the rifle equipment with the 2 pouches quite clearly there. We've then got the pistol case and ammunition case on the chap there. If you remember from previous, sometimes we saw a mix of pistol cases and rifle ammunition pouches, and we're not seeing that here. It looks to be quite standard. So we've got riflemen with rifles, and we've got perhaps riflemen, the numbers 3, 4, etc. with rifles, and the numbers 1 and 2 with revolvers in their cases. Quite a lot of rank in this photo, I think. So they're all privates along the front, good conduct stripe, and what I did notice as I was going along zoomed in, looks like he's got crossed rifles above those good conduct stripe for marksmanship. Don't see that in machine gun units very often. We've got the MGC shoulder title. This chap here looks to have a coloured slip-on over his shoulder strap as well. So don't think I'm seeing that anywhere else. So I'm not sure what that is. That's clearly not a unit designation. Maybe it's identifying him as a runner or a scout or something like that. And because it's not on any of the other men in the unit, he can't wear his hat straight. It just stands out that the cap badge is way off centre. So's that whole peak. Brilliant. This guy here hasn't got any equipment on whatsoever. Maybe he's one of the horse drivers. And then we've got 2 officers in the front. We've got a sergeant either side of them. There's quite a nice mix of equipment and being worn there. Nice study of what looks like the whole of a section, so C section within probably 217 company. Now, Graham's guessed 217 company as well, which was part of 20 division, and we've got a March 1917 photo here to Mrs. Jackson from Claude. Probably not his wife, because why would you address her as Mrs. Jackson? So a quick look up of Claude in 217 Company brings only one, which was 42773 Corporal Claude Simpson of Burnley. He transferred to the Machine Gun Corps in July 1916 and went to France and Flanders with 217 Company, where he was then wounded on the 16th of August 1917 and discharged Class Z to the reserve on the 27th of February 1917. He was wounded at Langemarck, so we could do some more digging into the war diaries, see what they were doing, how he was wounded, etc., etc. You'd be able to find a little bit more information about him. It's worth remembering that Graham doesn't do that. He takes the information from the resources that he has available and adds that to the database. He's got 120,000 men. He can't chase them all down to the nth degree. He takes the information he knows exists, puts that into the database rather than searching for individuals and the information that might exist. So it's that's sort of perhaps for the families to themselves, or if if somebody puts a request in for more detail, then you do that on a case-by-case basis, but not speculatively. It's just one of the wonders of research. There's probably always going to be more information to find. So if you search for it today, you'll find some. If you search for it in a month's time, you might find some more. So search for it when you're asked, rather than just speculatively, because it might take you another 5 years to go around again. So following on with the field service cap being a bit of bizarre headdress, this one shows a Machine Gun Corps soldier in a pith helmet. So instantly shouts to us Middle East or India, and so pith helmet, Machine Gun Corps cap badge on the front there. No collar badges, so quite a just plain stand-up collar, but he is wearing the shoulder titles and buttons, which are a smaller button design, I think. They're the medium-sized button than the large that is on the service dress. He's got a cane. He's wearing a 08 pattern belt on its own. This is like walking out dress, and puttees there and boots. Nothing much more. You can just see the hut in the background, that white painted around the bottom of the hut. There's no information on the hut to tell us anything more, but yeah, nice Middle East esque, India esque photo uniform study. And thankfully there's a fair bit of information on the back. So we've got Gunner H.O. Hills, went to Mesopotamia, October 1916, and his address is Luton, Bedfordshire. So we've got enough information to get a decent biography from the MGC database. We think it's almost certainly 34087 William Oliver Hills. So William. So that's not a H. It's a W, is it? Could be Harry. It could be just a nickname, but it seems to be born 1897. Enlisted 16th of November 1914, aged 19 years and 1 month, as 4837 of the 2nd 5th Battalion of the Bedfordshire Regiment. 5'6" in height, chest 33 inches, and a pork butcher upon enlistment. He was compulsorily transferred to the Machine Gun Corps on the 4th of May 1916, and he went overseas on the 11th of October 1916 from Devonport. Landed on the 17th of November, so a month and a week later, 1916, in Basra, now part of Iraq. He joined 132 Company, whose history you can see in the Suicide Club book that's available from written by Graham, but we sell that through our shop. And he, on the 3rd of May 1918, he was sent to Suez from Basra. He joined the 3rd Indian Battalion of the Machine Gun Corps and eventually went home for discharge to the reserve on the 8th of May 1919. So he'd been away 3 years, almost. Oh no, sorry. not almost a day. He'd been in the machine gun corps for 3 years. He'd been away for 2.5 years by that point. He's got a couple of addresses: 5 Windmill Street, Luton, and then later 13 Bolton Road in Luton.
Thank you for watching. Please remember to like and share the video and subscribe to the channel. Please support us on Patreon if you're able to, and let us know of anything you'd like to see in the future. I look forward to hearing from you.